What's up? Good morning. I really did wake up like this. I've been dying to say that. Oh, what do I look like when I wake up? So, um, there's this thing called Saturn Return that I have just recently gone through, and still reeling from, still recovering from, and it's a doozy. It's really a doozy. As one of my dope homies would call it, Saturn's revenge. Saturn return is an astrological event that happens to a person's personal life every 29 years. And it is, in its most simplistic explanation, is that Saturn returns to the place in your chart where you were born. It comes right back around. And the significance of this psychologically and otherwise is that it's like a spiritual initiation and psychological and mental initiation into maturity and adulthood, especially when you turn 30. And then when you are about 56 years, 60 years old, you go through it again. And that's similar sort of change. It's like from maturity into wisdom or into like deeper, fuller, richer maturity. So what does that even mean? Now that I gave you a close explanation about it. Saturn return is a swift kick in the pants. Nah, no, though, or like fucking Saturn really fucking like handed me my ass. No, no, no. That's the best way to explain Saturn return. When I mean that it's like your initiation into maturity, I mean that it's it's when you start to like really get hit with like the hard lessons of your personal life. And those look different for everyone, but it's this point where you reach in your blossoming adulthood at the ripe age of 27, 28, where you start to have to make adult decisions. And I don't mean like just getting married or getting your own place or getting a car or nothing like that. No. I'm talking about real deep, like real deep areas in your life, like love, relationship with your parents, relationship to yourself, success, career, um, maturing in the way that you react to things, maturing um, in the way that you relate to other people. Though a lot of people do get married, have kids, buy a house, start their career right around this age, it's a marker, like there's a reason why 30 is a big deal. It's not just some arbitrary big deal thing. It's not just, oh, it's 30, 30. No, like that shit is actually astrologically marked. Um, my Saturn return was hard. It was definitely hard. Um, Even though I was warned about it before by a friend, by a former colleague, I was not ready. I was in midwifery school when my Saturn return started. And before that, actually, my Saturn return started when I was 27. And I marked the beginning of my Saturn return with a nervous breakdown. I was studying to be a nurse. I was in school, and there was a lot of things going on in my life. Um, and right before then, that summer, I had gone back to therapy for the. I got back to therapy. It's my second therapist. Really dope therapist upstate. And that summer, I was really having a lot of conflicts, both personal and otherwise. I went to his office, and where he like out of nowhere just started talking about how like people change their names to mark a change in their vibration, a change in themselves, right? Like, you know, like Malcolm X changed his name, Tupac, did he change his name? I don't know, I don't remember. Shoot me, I'm sorry, I don't know. Um, who else changed their name? Malcolm X changed his name. Anyway, people change their names to match their vibration. A lot of spiritual folk do this. Like if you ever see people who go through like a yoga teacher training, some of them, depending on what type of yoga, they emerge with a yogi name. And it's funny that he was talking about that when I got to the office because um I had been feeling like I wasn't Carmen anymore. That's my birth name, and I felt like a part of me was dying, and I think that that's very Saturn returning. You know, like you have to let go of who you were as like childish things to embrace your adulthood. And so when he was talking, I told him, I was like, you know, I've been thinking about changing my name. I don't feel like like Harmon anymore, and I feel like something drastically has changed about me. So that summer of my 27th birthday, I changed my name to Inanna, which Inanna is a Sumerian goddess of love, war, and fertility. And her most famous story is about her descent into the underworld and then rising after 3 days. Sound familiar to anybody? Any story out there that sounds familiar? Somebody dying and rising after 3 days? Yeah, they probably got it from Inanna. So, she dies. She goes down to the underworld and she meets her older sister. And so, her older sister is an archetype for the wounded feminine. Like, there's the light side of that, and there's the dark side. And like the shadow side of the feminine is like, you know, clingy, prostituting yourself, and I don't mean just for money. Um, like in despair, scornful, all of these things, you know, the shadow sides of ourselves. And her older sister represents that darkness, you know, that part of ourselves that we don't wanna like embrace. And, you know, I think we spend a lot of time not wanting to embrace our flaws or really know our darkness. But you know, Inanna went down there. She died. They kill her, and then she comes back again. And the deep part of that story is, you know, you cannot be in your full power if you do not embrace your shadow. Um, you will take yourself out quicker than any of your enemies and your haters. Like, no, you will be conquered by your own shadow. And so I changed my name right around that time, when my Saturn return started, and then I had a nervous breakdown and I was in the hospital for a good amount of the day, and it was the continuation of some really deep soul work of excavating traumas and memories and like organizing my life, making sense of who I had become and what were the patterns that I was following, what were the common themes in my life. So for anybody who's going through their Saturn return right now, so that means like if you're like 27, 28, you or if your Saturn is in Sagittarius, if you look up your birth chart and you look you know you could go to like astro.com or like a cafe astrology, and you could scroll down and find where your Saturn is. If your Saturn is in Sagittarius right now, you're experiencing your Saturn return. So like I said, 27, 28 ish. And so I suggest like really taking time to like reflect on your whole 27 something years of life and really start to pick out what are the common themes and what are the things that have been presented to you as lessons. Particularly pay attention to what happened to you when you were around 7 years old, around 14, and around 21. Saturn likes to kind of make a guest appearance every 7 years to kind of like give you a hint about what are these things that you're working for yourself, and what are like your downfalls and the things that trip you up. So that's what I did a lot of over the last 3 years. It was painful. It was painful and at the same time very sobering. Um, Saturn is the planet of limitations as well, and that's something that I've been experiencing lately. It's almost like it's become sort of like a little bit of a mantra. As I'm like coming out slowly from the other side. Um, I accept my limitations. I know what I am. Have quickly learned what are my limits, what I can and cannot do. Um, the youthful recklessness and invincibility has given way to a deep understanding of my mortality and a deep understanding that I can't do certain things for my health, for my wellness, for many different reasons. And so with Saturn return, I really encourage people to, one, not be apologetic about who you're gonna be, because you're gonna be a hot ass mess. Two, aside from the fact that it can be daunting, it can also be very rewarding. So many people achieve really wonderful things during their Saturn return. For myself, I, committed to therapy to get on the road to mental wellness. I went to midwifery school. I went on like a tour with World Pulse, talking about my message to the world. I what else have I done? I have mended many relationships, ended some relationships, fostered new ones. Um, and aside from those worldly achievements, what I'm most proud of is what I've learned about myself, what I have survived, um, what I'm capable of, and becoming mature, being able to take care of myself in a real way. These are the things that I'm grateful for Saturn return. So don't freak out if you're 27, 26 years old, or freak out. I freaked out too. But what I mean to say by that is it's a necessary trial by fire, and you will come out on the other side better for it. It's going to strip you raw and to your core, and my best advice for it is let let it happen to you. Really be present for this point of your life. Really work on yourself. Take those lessons and roll with those punches. Call a friend. Call somebody who you're just like, bruh, my Saturn return is kicking my ass. Because then what happens is that if you skip this very important maturity part, this maturing part of your life at 26, 27, 28 years old, you have to deal with 56 years worth of it when it slaps you again when you're about to turn 60. And some people do like skip it. Some people stay in their relationships to the point of marriage. Some people have kids because they think it's going to make things better. Like the gamut of things. And I advise you not to, because at least when you're like 27, 28, you have the energy for it. You don't want to deal with 56 years worth of lessons. I don't think that doesn't even look fun to me. So that was my Saturn return post. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Until I see you all again next time. I'm not really sure why I'm making these videos. I just feel compelled to talk to y'all. So yeah, that's my Saturn return video. If I feel like I need to talk more about it, I will do so. Have a good day and bundle up.